It's Patrick Hutzel from intensivecareathome.com.au, where we provide tailor-made solutions for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomy by improving their quality of life, and where we also provide tailor-made solutions to hospitals and intensive care units to save money and resources whilst providing quality care. In last week's blog, I shared how to select the best options when your loved one is stuck in ICU on a ventilator with tracheostomy. You can check out last week's blog by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's blog, I want to ask the question: is it a good idea for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies to stay in intensive care for weeks or for months? It never ceases to amaze me to see over and over again how far behind Australian intensive care units are when it comes to long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies. In fact, there are still millions of dollars of taxpayers' money being wasted by keeping DRGs, and DRG stands for Diagnosis-Related Groups in hospitals, and the DRGs AO6A and AO6B in intensive care units stay for way longer than necessary. So DRGs AO6A and AO6B are the DRGs for long-term ventilated patients with tracheostomies, and their stay in intensive care costs between $4,000 to $5,000 per bed day. Those DRGs are the second highest ranking DRGs in terms of costs in Australia only after LVAD insertion. It's therefore a perfectly legitimate question to ask whether it's a good idea to keep long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies in intensive care for many weeks and even many months. Not only is there the financial aspect, there's also the aspect of those patients blocking beds, and those beds could be used for more acute patients in need for an intensive care bed. There's also the aspect that long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies and their families have, that they have no quality of life, and in some instances no quality of end of life in intensive care. They spend many weeks and many months in a sterile, limiting and depressing environment. They spend day and night in intensive care and in essence put their lives on hold in order to be with their loved ones. Patients and families have no choice, and they miss out on opportunities and possibilities being available to them at home. So why is it that other countries such as Germany have nearly 20 years ago created win-win solutions, cost effectiveness and an improved quality of life for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies and their families by providing intensive home care nursing in order to provide a genuine alternative to a long-term stay in intensive care? Again, it's a win-win situation, and by providing intensive home care services to long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies and their families, they both have a much better quality of life and or quality of end of life in some instances. Both have finally choice and options. Cost effectiveness is being provided to intensive care units, hospitals and health service funding agencies such as the Department of Health and private health insurances. And last but not least, more beds are being available in intensive care for more acute patients in need of a critical care bed. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's a good idea to keep long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies in intensive care for many weeks or many months on end if they are long-term ventilated with tracheostomy? Leave your comments on the blog or contact me on 041 094 2230, or you can email me at patrick@intensivecareathome.com.au. Please note that we're also currently hiring enthusiastic and experienced intensive care nurses with critical care certificate for ventilated clients in Melbourne, close to the CBD. You can also check out our career section for more information, or you can contact me directly. Thank you for tuning into this week's blog. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecareathome.com.au, and I'll see you again in another update next week.